How many? Essential question. How do we determine how many? Essential elements. Count out up to 3 objects from a larger set, pairing each object with one and only one number name to tell how many. And if students are able to count out more than 3 objects, they could count out as many as 10 objects and represent the quantity with the corresponding numeral. Counting strategies. Students can count out loud 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Students can touch and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The strategy we'll be working on today is the move and count 1, 2, 3. Students can line up items and count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Students can be given a number such as 5 and count on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And students can recount when they get to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So today we'll be working on the move and count, or count and move. Students will count the item and move it to avoid recounting. Some counting out activities. Students can use printable gumball machines, and they'll have a large quantity of pom-poms. You could utilize a clothespin or any squeezable item of your choice, perhaps tongs. 1, it will make the activity more engaging. 2, it'll increase fine motor abilities for some of our earlier learners or those who struggle with grasp. They'll move and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same activity using a jar. You have a large group here, and they can move and count. 1, 2, 3. And here we have an ice cream cone, and they're adding the scoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 10 frame. It's a 2x5 rectangular frame. It consists of 5 squares on the top and 5 squares on the bottom to make one large rectangle. This is typically used to help students identify 10 at a glance. The 10 items will be in the box, or less depending on how many. Some counting out activities using Play-Doh mat and the 10 frame. Here we have a 10 frame as we discussed. The students would have a group of sunflower seeds and they would add 2. 1, 2. Move them and count them. Here we have 8. Students have a cup filled with buttons. They would take or move and count 8. In addition, they could create the number 8 using Play-Doh. Here we have some golden rocks as treasure. Students would take 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same concept here without the Play-Doh. We have buttons, and the student would add on buttons. Or, since it's a gingerbread man, they could add on gumdrops or the item of your choice based on what's available. The most important thing is the students are able to move and count based on the given number. The same concept here. We have a group of buttons and they are moving to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting tubes is a great way to practice moving and counting. We have 1, the pom-poms or cotton balls, they would place 1. Here we have 2, 1, 2. And students would place 2. Here, the tubes are in size order in addition to the colors match or correspond. So this is a errorless way to teach students how to count, move, and count based on color, or they could do it based on quantity. So there are 2 attributes that they could use to move and count. In this case, once they've practiced, you can use this sort of activity to check for understanding. Here, it is not color coordinated. It is not done by size. So students would know that the largest tube is only asking for 1, and a smaller tube is asking for 3. So students would really need to understand only 1 goes in the larger tube, and perhaps 3 can go in a smaller tube. In addition, you could create move or drag and count activities on Jamboard. One that I've created using images of our bears. Most classrooms have these available. If not, they could be ordered. This activity can be done in person as well as remotely. And I like to use bears because it's something that most of our students have seen in the classroom environment before. So it's familiar and it's also engaging. So here, they were asked to count to tell how many bears. So the student would be asked to move and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now the student knows that they have completed counting because this space is empty. There are no more bears here, and all the bears have been moved. And this way they can avoid counting one bear more than one time. And at the bottom, they could circle the number of bears. To indicate and tell how many. So the directions here are to count out 3 bears. And there are several ways to do this. For errorless, you could only provide 3 bears. So they would only have the option to move all 3. Or you can put more, as I did here, see if they truly understand. 3. 1, 2, 3. Another activity using the 10 frame, which I copied and pasted here. They have 6 bears, but I'm asking for 4. The students would move and count and place the bears in a box. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another option for online, students working remotely or in person, drag and count activities on Boom cards. So you would sign in to wow.boomlearning.com. You would search by counting, and this drag and count activity would come up. And here, students have the option to drag and count. So it's asking for 2 green rulers. 1, 2. It's asking for 5 yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And they could submit to see if they are correct. And it will continue to go on. In conclusion, counting to tell how many involves the act of counting each object in a set once and only once with one touch per object. Move and count is one way to avoid recounting items in a large group. There are many free printable Play-Doh mats and 10-frame resources available online. Household items and inexpensive manipulatives can be used as hands-on objects. YouTube is a great resource for songs and videos. Boom Learning is a great resource for online practice and counting.